was really just a personal decision where, I didn't agree with what was going on.
The exiled QB, Colin Kaepernick.
We've had an amazing year and a half on so many fronts.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan.
I'll continue to sit. I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed.
Using his platform for the greater good.
Your San Francisco quarterback, I'm sure nobody ever heard of him.
Unlike this guy, if there's one thing that unites all conservatives, all GOPers, all alt-right, and members of the Republican Party, it is the target their dear leader bestowed upon a professional athlete who took a knee in solidarity for those whose rights were and still are violated by the systemic oppression America bestows rather upon these citizens, largely from non-white communities and neighborhoods throughout the country where this oppression has the largest impact.
Ambassador Taylor recalls that Mr. Morrison told Ambassador Taylor that I told Mr. Morrison that I conveyed this message to Mr. Yarmak on September 1st, 2019 in connection with Vice President Pence's visit to Warsaw.
This speed racing talking machine is Jim Jordan, a fierce defender of Donald Trump and the Republican Party's corruption.
So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
And this is where the party takes aim for political gain and, as always, blame for all of the world's problems. I would argue it's not conservatives who have been polarizing, it's the left, he said. Today's left applauds Colin Kaepernick when he refuses to stand for the national anthem, and they embrace Governor Andrew Cuomo when he says, as governor of New York, that America was never that great.
When he orders fish at a restaurant, he asks the waiter to leave the teeth in.
This fucking guy.
Do you think the president lies a lot?
Excuse me, Anderson?
Do you think the president lies a lot, like Jim Comey says?
I do not.
The nerve.
Okay, so you haven't heard the president lie. You haven't heard the president lie.
I've not heard the president. Has always been square with me. That's for darn sure.
What about the American people?
The American people elected him president of the United States.
Okay, but have you ever heard the president lie? That's what I'm asking you.
The smugness to not carry out his civic duty, rather a foot soldier in Trump's army, and lives to get a compliment like this for a man he will risk his career for. The most corrupt president we've ever seen, Donald Trump. Also, no lies. Try over 16,000 in Trump's first 3 years. Jordan plays all the hits in a strategy called diverting from my crooked colleagues. The Democrats have never accepted the will of the American people. The Democrats don't trust the American people, he once uttered. What Jordan is saying with his anti-cap quote is simply this: nationalism is the only accepted policy.
Shut up and dribble.
Yeah, that's more like it, said Jim Jordan, probably. Like Colin Kaepernick. Tommy Smith and John Carlos did their own protest, one held at the '68 Mexico Games, a protest that famed broadcaster Brent Musburger wrote of, calling them, quote, a pair of black-skinned stormtroopers. What Smith and Carlos did was exercise the audacity to disrupt a sporting event, which we have been conditioned to believe is a societal safe space, a theater of escape, a spectacle sanitized of any of our ills, with a political declaration, wrote the great Kevin Blackistone. And as always,
Cops are getting paid leave for killing people. That's not right.
the message.
I think it's very disrespectful to our country. I think it's very, very disrespectful to our flag.
Loses its meaning.
You have to stand proudly for the national anthem, or you shouldn't be playing.
By those who hijack it. Just like in 1968, it wasn't Kaepernick's message that drew so much reaction, it was his method for dissemination. For he dared to protest in the athletic arena, where we wrap sporting events in a prophylactic of patriotism used to demand political conformity and suppress discourse. It's the blueprint for conservatives to rally their base, the flag, the manipulated perspective to grab the pitchforks and fight for a distorted view. Put perfectly, I point to Glenard Rudasili. It should be noted that the actions of Colin Kaepernick and others during the national anthem are protests against the continued racial inequities, etc., that exist in this country and not left-wing actions. To suggest that these exercises of First Amendment rights are designed to be divisive, etc., is simply a way of dismissing and ignoring what the protests are about and dismissing the pain and suffering propagated by ongoing racism. To do so is even more disgraceful than any disrespect of our flag could ever be. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook, and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.